Hi guys, Jay Smith here, welcome to AskGolfNut channel. So I've done all of the Titleist T series iron reviews. I've also done the 620 CB as well. And so if you want to have a look at that one, you can have a look at my video listing for the 4 reviews where we look at the technology, we look at all the forgiveness, all in detail, hit them into the simulator, that kind of idea. This video is going to be from a comparison point of view. If you're a golfer that's looking into the Titleist T series, is it going to be one for you? Which golf clubs, which irons do different jobs to others? Which one will suit more to your game than others? I have compared these all in looks, feel, performance and forgiveness. We'll do the feel and looks first on the basis that is the subjectivity side of things, and my opinion got nothing to do with how good or bad the clubs perform. It is just my opinion. On the screen you can see we've got on the left hand side the range of points from 5 all the way down to 0. 5 is full points and 0 is no points. We have the 620 on the left hand side all the way to the T400 on the right hand side. You can see the scale of size of golf clubs as well. The 620 and the T100 very similar in size and shape and feel as well. One thing I will say about the feel on all of these irons, but especially on the 620 CB, because that was the first one that I did, and flowing into the T100 as well, Titleist choose to have a little bit of a crisper feel to their golf clubs than some do. I was expecting, especially the CB, to feel quite soft and feel quite dull and quiet at impact, but it's actually a little bit crisper than I was expecting. Now that's not a good thing or a bad thing, that is just how they are, but I prefer a softer feel, so of course they're not going to score 5 points unfortunately, but they are solid 4 apiece. When you go into the T150, yes, it's starting to get a little bit bigger. Top lines, sole thicknesses, blade lengths do get a little bit bigger, and that's because of the transition into the technology, trying to get the launch of the golf ball slightly higher, especially for good blending if you're going to go from a T100 in the lower irons and then into a T150, say into the longer irons. But you can see they get a little bit bigger and the sound gets a little bit harsher, a little bit more crisp as well, so you can start seeing the feel numbers and the looks numbers start to drop down a little bit. The only difference is the T200. The T200 is an interesting one, a massive feel jump between the T150 and the T200. T200 is very loud, very crisp, distinct difference in strike, but the T200 also has chrome. And I'm a great chrome fan, so it scores a little bit higher on the chrome front. Now, of course, some people like chrome, some people don't like chrome, so it's just my opinion. That's why it scores. You might score it completely differently. When you go into the T350 and, of course, the T400, the T400 is the Goliath of the range. 26 or so degrees for a 7-iron is a rather strong 7-iron, but the T400 does launch the golf ball extremely well. Of course, we'll get into the data right now. On the screen you can see we've got the face speed data, and effectively what face speed is really important for is to try and generate as much ball speed as possible. And the reason why this is so very important is because if you are a slow swing speed golfer, you need as much face speed as you possibly can, because face speed transfers into ball speed, and when you're looking at a slower swing speed, ball speed is key, because if you can get that golf ball going faster, you can get that golf ball going longer, but also better peak height and better descent angle. All the information that you're going to see on here will be on the website www.askgolfnut.com, where my website members will be able to look at all the different tiers of data to see what access they want, if they want to look at heat maps, the radar chart, or the self-fit tool, which is an amazing tool when it comes to trying to understand what golf clubs are going to suit your game. Scale on the left hand side going from 1.56 all the way down to 1.48, and that is the maximum and the minimum that we have recorded so far on the 80 plus irons that we have on our database on the website. So you can see that all the way through the range from the 620 CB all the way to the T400, you can see actually it's got a fairly static face speed. There is a slight difference between them. 620 CB is the smallest of the lot. There is a full body forging, a solid plank of metal as such, and so it won't necessarily have the fastest face, but it does a decent job considering it is basically a player's iron. The face speed goes up fractionally on the T100, no surprise there. Obviously we're talking a little bit more tech involved. The interesting thing was the T150, it goes down slightly on the T150, and the only reason I can think of that was you've got the same technology in there, but with the slightly bigger body, you're dragging the center of gravity a little bit lower, and of course when the ball and the forces aren't in line, you do get a slightly better launch when it comes to a T150, potentially over the T100, but you might get a little bit of a drop in the face speed. You go to a T200 and well, all the technology in that golf club is designed to make the T200 fire. You can definitely hear the technology working. It is a distinct sound. T350 and T400, they're all hovering around about the same amount, but 1.54 peaking up for the T400, a very decent number. So the important thing when it comes to a slow and a medium swing speed golfer, very much so, is launch factor. How much, if you just deliver, you display whatever loft you display to the golf ball, how much does that golf club actually convert into physical launch angles? So you've got the information you can see on the left hand side there between 81 and 69%. It was about 82 and 69% is the largest, the maximum and the minimum that we've recorded on the website. So you can see when it comes to a 620 CB only launching at say 74%, not really a surprise. Interesting surprise over the T100 launching only at 72.5% of its delivered loft. But then you start seeing the difference when it comes to the larger golf clubs. The T150, going back to what we see with the face speed, not being quite as fast, but then the possibility of the center of gravity being a bit lower than that on the T150. And yes, you can see that launching much better than the T100. T150 will be a really very good golf club to blend with the T100. If you are looking to go T100 in the short irons and T150 in the long irons, the T100 is good. T150 amazingly good at trying to get the golf ball up in the air, considering its size. Go T200, and considering its size, it is doing possibly the best of the lot. T400 wins, of all of them, 78.6% of its delivered loft it converts into launch angle. So yes, the T400 is going to be exceedingly good when it comes to the slower swing speed golfer. Just bear in mind, obviously, we have the slightly stronger lofts. All this information here is loft for loft adjusted. So you're going to think, yes, well, the T400 is going to have a faster face. It's going to have this and that because it's got less loft. This is all loft for loft adjusted. It is basically, though, they were all, let's say, 30 degrees. One golf club will have a faster face over the other, and the T400 wins when it comes to launch factor. So the interesting thing with face spin rates is a massive myth. And golfers need to understand that, yes, back in the day when we were looking at 7 irons were 37 or so degrees, there was this 1,000 RPM for every iron that you had. So your 7 iron did spin at 7,000 RPM. Things have changed a lot. The golf ball has changed for one, but irons have also changed massively. Gone are the days where 7 irons are 37 degrees. We have the T400 there at 26. So it is distinctly stronger, 10 or so degrees stronger. However, nowadays with the technology inside of these heads that have managed to get that center of gravity and pull it so far down, what we're seeing is we're still seeing launch factors far in excess of what the old school 37 degrees irons, 7 irons used to be able to do. But we're still getting some mighty ball speeds, some mighty launches and some mighty distances considering. And these are because, yes, they are strong lofted, but the center of gravity is lower, so they're making it up for when it comes to launch factor. But sometimes with that launch factor, face spin rate drops off, and because people have this in their head that they need 1,000 RPM for every iron that they have, the 7,000 spin for a 7 iron, they poo-poo these irons and say they don't spin very well. We're actually spin nowadays because of the fact that obviously we are launching the golf ball so much better with that center of gravity lower, but we're getting better smash factor because of that stronger loft. We don't need the spin like we used to. Spin there is now much more for a consistency of flight than it is for anything else. However, you can see on the left-hand side, the highest that we've ever recorded on irons, 136, down to 110. So we do have a decent window there. And look at all of the irons. The irons of these Titleist range are incredibly good at retaining spin. All the irons do surprisingly well, especially when you go up to the T400, T350, that kind of idea, and even T200. Generally speaking, you do get the spin coming off them, but that's more through vertical gearing than anything else, not on the Titleist irons. They're doing mighty impressively well at trying to keep spin up on the golf ball, regardless of what iron you choose. So to the all-important forgiveness time. Now we look at this forgiveness normally within the reviews as the heat map style. And of course, all the heat maps are on my website, www.askgolfnut.com. But for ease of use and comparison of this, rather than just shoving every single heat map in front of you, I've put it on a graph so you can see how much drop-off you get per millimeter from these golf clubs. So from the heel location, you can see there that actually the best, when it comes to the best and the worst is the furthest one down, and the best is the closest one to losing nothing. The best on there from the heel location is actually the T100, shortly followed by the 620 CB. The slab of metal is doing very, very well. No, like the T100 is not that much different to it, but it's doing very, very well. And actually, the worst one of the lot is the T200. The T200 is the player's distance category. People need to understand, even manufacturers named the player's distance category. They didn't name it the player's forgiveness category, but for some reason, whether it's media, whether it's myth, have promoted the player's distance category as a player's forgiveness category, and it's not. It is for players that want more distance, not players that want more forgiveness. If you want more forgiveness as a player, that's what the player's cavity section is there for. That category does it very, very well. Generally speaking, the player's distance is not very forgiving, and it is the worst off of the heel. Shortly followed by the T400. Surprise, the T400 is actually a pretty good golf club. It's just not from the heel. And of course, then you're looking at shortly followed by the T350. But the ones that do really very, very well are the 620 CB. Again, you could understand that with the shorter blade lengths, larger hosel comparative to blade lengths like you do get on these players' irons. Again, no different to T100, that it might be better off of the heel. If you go low though, low on the face now, again, the 620 CB does mighty well. Followed by the T400, not necessarily surprised by the T400 because again, all that center of gravity is as low as it can go. And then you've got the T150 and then the T350 following on. Again, surprise, bad one of the lot is a T200. It really does not like low strikes whatsoever. The T100 didn't do very well whatsoever at all, but the T200 is losing 0.43% of the ball speed per millimeter that you move away. So if you're going to move 10 millimeters low, that's not massive low strike on the face, you're losing 4.3% of your ball speed. Now that could be very, very important when you've got a forced carry. So you can see how just important it is making sure you get the right iron to suit your game. And of course, if you are a T200 user and hit it anywhere on the face apart from middle, you might need to choose a different option. Go to the toe now and you can see just how good that T400 is, only losing 0.11% per millimeter when you move towards the toe away from the middle, and the others don't do great, especially the T200, the poor old T200 losing 0.32% per millimeter. Again, the 620 CB done very well off of low and also heel, but doesn't do great off of toe strikes. And then we're looking at the T150 next, and then the T100 and then the T350, but the T400 does extremely well from toe strike. So if you are a toe strike golfer and you're looking for a distance iron that's going to protect from those toe misses, the T400 is amazingly good at keeping ball speed up from those toe strikes. As an overall, if you look at all of the information from the heel, the low, the toe, put it all together and see which one is more forgiving than all of the rest, the T400 on average wins. But look how close it is when it comes to tied second as such. We've got the 620 CB, the smallest iron on here, and the T350, the second largest one on here. This is all to do with ball speed retention. And remember, when you're trying to make a face as fast as it possibly can do, to try and get as much distance as you possibly can, it's very, very difficult to maintain that speed from other parts in the face that you shouldn't be hitting, but we do. And of course, if you are going to make a face in the middle super fast, then you have to make the other parts of it, the heel, toe and low, even faster, and that gets very difficult when you're having to thin faces out and trying to keep the integrity of the head. We have seen quite a few manufacturers, quite a few brands and models fail in past, having faces crack because they're pushing boundaries. And so it is no surprise to see actually the 620 CB, the T100 and even the T150 doing mighty well. Poor old T200 though, not doing well at all. So as a conclusion to the T-Series irons, it really comes down to what you need, what golfer you are and what you require. The great thing is these are all on the website, these are all in the self-fit tool. If you know your club head speed and your delivery dynamics, you can pop that into the self-fit tool and it will show you the physical flights of what these golf clubs will give you with your speed and how you deliver. I would say really from a low swing speed point of view, if you're looking for ultimate distance, etc., the T400 is an amazing golf club. It works exceptionally well, launches the golf ball really well. Its face is generally speaking quite quick. It's generally speaking quite forgiving as well, doing exactly the same thing that you'd expect from a super game improvement iron. However, just be aware it is not the best of heel strikes Although if you're going to go into mishits, if you are a T200 user or you're looking for the T200 as an option, you better be hitting it out the middle, because if you don't, unfortunately, you are definitely going to be penalized heavily from your mishits, because it's not the most forgiving. Hope you liked the video. If you did, go on, give it a big old thumbs up, hit that like button. YouTube likes, so do I. Down there is a subscribe button. It's free. It's great for the channel if you could subscribe, so thank you. Next, that one is a bell icon. That's a notification bell. If you click that one, that'll let you know next time I upload another video. Hope you're well. We'll see you again soon.